Off-market real estate is where you make real money. It's where you generate real wealth. Like you can, even if you're doing big assets, you can go work with brokers. You guys go out to Little Rock, Arkansas. You go to lunch. You freaking do the thing. Like whatever. You build relationships. You do that over 8 months, and then hopefully they throw you a bone. If you want to actually go and make real wealth, you want to buy that $10 million apartment complex for $6 million, which is absolutely possible. You're a small time. You want to buy the $500,000 house for $200,000. Absolutely possible. We've done that many times where you can add on to your net worth extraordinarily quickly. It is not rocket science. You can.
Welcome to the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Mike DeHaan and Dan Austin. From wins, losses, horror stories, and tactics for optimizing your business, Mike and Dan take a real, uncensored deep dive into the ins and outs of running a full-time real estate investment and wholesaling business.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast, the Mike and Dan Show, where I, Mike DeHaan, and my co-host, BDE, Big Dan Energy himself, talk about real estate, business, investing, and everything in between. Random stuff. So if you have any interest in real estate investing, building a real estate business, getting rich,
or
making
pop culture,
money, losing money, pop culture, on Dan's discretion, like you're the only one that cares about pop culture, man. I don't even go down that realm. But this show's for you. If you're not interested in anything in life, then I don't know. Go find something else to listen to. Go listen to like a true crime podcast or something.
People love those. People love
those. Are huge.
I mean, like I can watch a good crime. I mean, the Murdaugh thing is pretty. That's gonna be pretty cool on Netflix.
See that came up in our instant investor group coaching call on Thursday. Somebody made a comment about that. I literally don't even know what that is. It's not even on my radar.
Oh my god!
No.
So
I don't even know who is that. Is he like he must be a prominent person.
He's not a prominent person. He's a prominent person in South Carolina, which is where one of our coaching clients is from, which is, like he said, it's pretty hot down there right now. So they also came out with a Netflix show, also, which is kind of funny. Like the trial's still going on, or it just wrapped up this week. But the dude is rich white dude from South Carolina, like 100-year-old law firm. They basically ran this small town, as people say, as I guess the prosecuting attorneys like laid out, right? Like these are not like just regular people. They're law firms, probably like the biggest building in town. It's like this huge, beautiful brick building. They kept showing pictures of it during the thing. Anyhow, so he's on trial right now for killing his wife and one of his kids. And he just got convicted guilty. And he's an idiot. He's a dipshit. Like, he's like, I wasn't there, because so where they got killed, he's like, I wasn't there. Well, his son had posted a Snapchat with him in the background talking, like minutes before he murdered them, right? And then, but then there's like this whole story of this family, very prominent family, and a lot of murders that they're now like trying to connect to them that are like super, like, okay, they probably did murder these people, including like their housekeeper, including this gay kid, because like his other son is now supposed, this conspiracy is that his other son's gay, and then they murdered this other dude because it's not good to be gay in that family. I don't know.
So like the family was murdered.
Yeah, exactly. And so the son in like 2019, the son that got killed, Paul, that's what they call him.
Is his name Paul?
His name's like Paul Murdaugh. Anyways,
okay.
But you know how they are down there, man. Nicknames and stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, they got grandmas exactly, or memas and peepaws.
Anyhow, so Paul was on a boat with a bunch of friends. They're, late teenagers. They're drinking, all that sort of stuff. He crashes the boat. One of the kids, the local girl there, was killed. And so then he was going to go to trial, and obviously it was not good for the family and the whole story is that this family, because of their prominence, they've gotten off. They have so much influence. They can pay the cops off. They do all sorts of stuff, and I don't know the details. I'm just kind of speculating on some of this based on the hearsay, but like that's the whole situation, right? And so just tons of crap with this family, and then he just got convicted of murder. But it's just, there's just a lot going on with it that you're like, Jesus, how is this possible?
Okay, I can see how people can get into that. I mean, it's basically like an HBO show,
right? It's like Succession or something.
North Carolina Succession.
Seriously,
yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, it's wild. I did a bad job explaining it, and there's people that are really into it. Like, there's a podcast on it already. I'm like, how do people like get into this? How do you have so much time? But people do love that true crime. This is not even true crime. This is like, because it's not like a mystery. It's like, you're an idiot. You killed your, like, why did you, oh, and the dad that was on trial was also addicted like Oxycontin, was taking like 30 pills a day and like weird shit, stealing from his law firm. This is how dumb he is. So his, like the housekeeper fell down the stairs, got a head injury. Well, he filed, I think he either had a life insurance policy against her, or he filed a suit on her family's behalf against his insurance company and got $4 million awarded, and then just never gave it to the family. But he's like, I'm gonna sue my insurance company. We're gonna get the money for your family, and then got $4 million and then just never gave it to him. So that's weird. Like that somebody would die at your house and then you just get $4 million.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. You get to like that level of corrupt wealth, things just are going to get weird. Like those sort of people, they're on a different tier of, you know, corruption and circumstance and, you know, the good and the bad that most of us can't even begin to fathom. I think that's why people
power, when you have the power, I think, is more than anything. Right.
Yeah, that's why people get so infatuated with it. But the crazy thing is, too, is there's that guy who no one ever knows. Then there's the people that are like 1,000x him that, you know, do the same shit, but it involves like, you know, governments and countries. Exactly. Like entire human populations instead of like
there's probably some conspiracy we could get back on a conspiracy, talk about like the Russia-Ukraine thing, man. Like, you're talking about taking over countries.
No, dude. I don't care. Like, I like to talk about real estate. I like to talk about
for the Ukrainian people who've been invaded.
I do. I feel very much for them because that sucks. And then that's like such an insane situation that's happened, because like those are like proper European cities, right? It's not like, you know what I mean, it's not like it's some like third world country where there's always turmoil and like the cities are, you know, super sort of distressed and just like not safe anyways. Like I remember looking at trips like going through that part of the world like not that long ago, and there was all the highlights of the different tourist things and the history and stuff that you could see in Kiev and these different places. And now the places are decimated. Yeah,
history gone.
You know, versus like if it's not like Somalia, right, where there's like, it's like, oh, there's an invasion in Somalia. It's like, well, I think there's
always kind of some unrest going there, like, or some sort of famine. It's just, you know, not that that's make light of it, but yeah, you just kind of expect it.
No, but it is, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I didn't know about all that sort of stuff, but what I do know is that we are currently hiring and looking for people. You're looking for several positions, and it's been interesting going through the hiring process right now. So, because we're looking for a couple new acquisitions managers, we're looking for a client manager for our Instant Investor Pro and partnership programs. Looking for a data analyst that just come and help optimize our data across all the frickin' markets we're in now. We're looking for an administrative assistant, and you know, it's so challenging because you post these job listings. So here's the couple things that I found is super difficult hiring right now. First off, if you have a remote job, like a remote position available, and you post it, understand you're going to get absolutely slammed with tons of people. Most of them are not going to be qualified, and they're not going to actually have read your job description. They're just going to see like the little remote brackets or whatever on LinkedIn.
Apply. Mass apply.
Like, yep. I'm going to mass apply to stuff. So that's first thing. So I've already had several conversations with folks. I'm like, these people look qualified, and they're like, wait, so what is this job about? I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, why are you wasting everybody's time? Especially because the freaking hiring boards cost money per person that I engage with. So now they're wasting my money.
Man. That's how
which pisses me off.
Make your money.
Yeah. That is exactly. It's super, you know, predatory by the websites that you list stuff on. It's like we had a sales guy that joined with us 2 weeks ago who quit yesterday, and this really, he might listen to this too, so you know, I don't know what to say about that, but this really pushed my buttons when he said, quote, "I did not realize how much work this was going to be." I'm like, dude, you wanted to work with us, and now you're like, I didn't know that you were going to actually expect things. What you are saying is, I thought that your company was an absolute joke, and that I wasn't going to have to come here and show you
how to do it.
Like, come on, man. Like, honestly, what are you thinking?
I think a lot of people,
right?
he has a real estate agent background. That's what his like day job is. I think a lot of real estate agents have no idea about real estate or how hard it is to be
No.
investing on just like straight up investing,
Yeah.
let alone running an off market real estate business where you are going direct to seller to capture equity in properties.
Yeah, and there was like all these complaints of like, well, I didn't realize I was gonna have to be calling these leads that didn't actually want to sell. I was gonna have to like call these people that wouldn't answer. I'm like, why do you think we fucking make $30,000 a deal, right? Where a realtor makes $3,000, like on like the same property. It's because we do all the
Take a lot more risk
to get in front of
honestly.
these people. Yeah. You're right. We spend a huge amount of money generating the conversations. We spend an incredible amount of time following up with the conversations. Our record right now is over 700 days from the time when somebody came in to our system and we signed a deal. That's almost 2 years of follow-up, right? And I looked at the record. We called that guy like 50 times and he didn't answer. Right. And finally one day he answered. And he, the funny thing is too, he knew who
He's
we
like, hey,
were
what's up, guys?
when they answered.
Hey,
The
bud.
initial call is back when we had Richard on our team, and he was like, Richard, you have been calling me. And Richard was like, why, yes, I have.
Thank you for answering. Finally.
For a year, like years, dude. But that's also, we made like $60,000 on that deal.
It's not, it's like, it's pretty simple. You just have to work hard. Like, it's not like this complicated, like hard to understand process. You just have to show up every day, be consistent, and be willing to put in the time and effort. And apparently, not everybody's willing to do that.
100%. And that's the thing, too, that's so difficult about the wholesaling business. And for people that are interested in, and I would say not even wholesaling, for doing off-market real estate where if you want to make off-market real estate is where you make real money. It's where you generate real wealth. Like you can, even if you're doing big assets, you can go work with brokers. You guys go out to Little Rock, Arkansas. You go to lunch. You freaking do the thing. Like whatever. You build relationships. You do that over 8 months, and then hopefully they throw you a bone. If you want to actually go and make real wealth, you want to buy that $10 million apartment complex for $6 million, which is absolutely possible. You're a small time. You want to buy the $500,000 house for $200,000. Absolutely possible. We've done that many times where you can add on to your net worth extraordinarily quickly. It is not rocket science. You can go on YouTube. You can learn the basics. You can join our instant investor group. We will give you the entire blueprint. And we're pretty cheap too. We're not like going to charge you $20,000 to get into this system.
Profit, sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, $100,000 plus profit. Oh my God, we'll talk about that after. But you have to be willing to work for it. And if you're not willing to work for it, you have to be willing to manage people and find people that are willing to work for it,
Which is even harder work,
right?
So.
And if you want to, which is even harder, yeah. So it's just so interesting because this has been something that we have gone through, with several people in house, talking to several people that are like interested in the business, and one of the things that's always interesting to me is they say like, how many hours a week should I expect to commit to this? I'm like, a lot, like honestly, like when it's starting out, maybe a little bit less, but when you get going, if you want to be successful, it will be a second full-time job
to any level of like where it replaces income and finds you and scales as quickly as most people want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I probably just turned off half the listeners or 3/4 listeners to ever want to pursue this kind of business,
right?
But that's the truth, and that's why also I've had this recently when I've been on other shows. I'm talking to other people, and they hear that, Dan and I started in 2020, and they're like, wow, you guys scaled up really fast. It's because I've been working, 12-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week now for 3 years.
We moved fast too.
And
a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people like start out in one spot and they just try to work and grind that one spot. And you get really good in that one spot. We've had to adapt and pivot, and we've done it quicker than most people can because we realize the writing on the wall in certain areas where you want to try and then pivot, try and pivot until you can find like the most efficient way to run your business.
Exactly, and that's what we have. That's why we've been working so much too. And that's the thing that's interesting is we don't necessarily have to work that much anymore to run the business. We kind of do right now because we're scaling, but it's all about spending the time to maximize efficiencies, not so that you can work less, but so you can be more productive with the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And you know, and that is where like the sort of scaling aspect comes in. But when you're starting out, like that is a realistic expectation that you're going to need to be putting your nose to the grindstone. This stuff's going to be hard. You know, you can like join like our group. You know, you can work with us on like our pro or our partnership program. We can help get you there faster. But even if we are doing like the back end for you, there's still work involved, you know, to get these contracts
Nothing
sold,
good
to,
comes
you know,
easy.
get like actually, nothing good comes easy. Yeah, one of the biggest misconceptions about off market real estate and wholesaling is that it's a get rich quick scheme.
It's a get rich eventually.
Because it's real estate is get rich, and wholesaling can be a get rich quick scheme, but it comes at a cost, right? And that cost is either risk in your money, right, or it is significant amount of
That's
work.
a good point, because you could you could double your marketing budget and cut your sales work in half and potentially get a similar result, but you're putting out more money, and so you're less profitable. Or you could have more targeted, smaller batches of marketing and bust your ass on the sales side of the follow-up and have a higher ROI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even those, like, you know, those dudes that you see on Instagram that, like, you know, those ones that you think might be full of it, but like you also like have a feeling that they might be doing something. Like they're working. If they are making any deals, they're working pretty hard, you know. And like even if they're not spending any money, so
you know what?
I don't know.
Like,
it was just
I was just looking at a Twitter post from a decently prominent like person, and I hate like paid this much for these properties. We're expecting this much cash flow, and I'm like, really? You paid? It's like, so basically they were quoting like a 1.5% rule and like awesome cash flow at a very low price. I was like, man, that's hard.
What are they buying? In,
well,
like,
that was what I was
Flint,
trying to figure
Michigan?
out. But then they were like the property taxes per property. So say it was one of them was $140,000 property. One was like 180. So they're all in at like 320. But then their property taxes combined for those two properties was like 12 grand a year. So I'm like, that's kind of a lot. So you're in like a higher place, but then you're in a higher tax place, but your prices are super low. So then
they're in Texas,
right?
in rural
Something,
Texas.
right? And then I'm like, and then they just go down and they talk about all their numbers, and then some guy starts like, well, what's this, and they start actually explaining it, and I'm like, okay, so you quoted your top line revenue, which means nothing to me. You could literally say I have a property that grosses 20 grand a month. I don't care. I do not care how much it grosses. Yep. But then they go down, and then I backed into the numbers for like current rates. I'm like, you're not even accounting for anything regarding like OpEx and CapEx, and you're quoting, and then based on what you just said, you're going to make like $6,000 a year between two properties before maintenance and before vacancy. I'm like, so you're not really making that great of money, and you're trying to quote saying that this is how you retire fast. It's like, that's bullshit. Like, I just hate the numbers, the people quote the round numbers, and I'm like, oh, by the way, you also have $90,000 into these properties. So now your return on investment, true return on investment, if this is even a real deal, is like 8%. Nah, I'm gonna go invest in the stock market, dude. I'm gonna go buy the S&P 500, and I'm not doing that deal.
Yeah, I mean, and like, if stuff seems like it's too good to be true, this is general rule for life.
Yeah,
like that, right? You know, they're quoting these insane numbers. If it seems like it's too good to be true,
the problem is there's quite a few people.
In fact, it's not probably.
There's quite a few people that have like large followings, and this person does, and they target specifically new investors that are like, I want to buy my first rental property, and they just don't know. Like you know, you and I have been there, and it's like they're blasting this out to 150, 250,000 followers, and you're like, that's trash.
Yeah. You know, the thing that pisses me off the most about that though is not even the fact that they're lying. Like, people are gonna lie about stuff, whatever. Like, you know, you go look at like I don't know, girls taking pictures of themselves on Instagram. They're all lying. They have the poses. Like, it's basically the business version of that, right? It is the fact that it sets such an unrealistic expectation for people that are like legitimately capable of getting into real estate, and it dampens their like prospects and their ability to do well over the long term, because now they are setting their entire worldview on the investment world based off of falsities, which sucks, you know. And so they spend their time, and even if they don't buy that dude's course or lady, I don't know who it was, they don't buy their you know, do engage with them at all. They don't do anything. All they know is oh, Joe Schmo said that this is what they're getting, so I feel like my deals need to look like that. And So people don't take action.
You're right. They sit back on their laurels and like, there's no good deals here. And it's like, even if that person quoted the right numbers, they may have bought 10 or 12 deals before they got that. Like you and I have had some deals where we bought them and we didn't think they were going to be that good, but they were like real good. And you're like, hell yeah. But that's not every deal. Yeah. It's like every 5, every 6 deals.
Yeah, I know. Totally, right? And that is the name of the game, though, is, you know, real estate is the get rich quick eventually scheme. And if you're getting into wholesale and you're doing transactional real estate, honestly, whether it's flipping, whether it's wholesaling, whether it's being a realtor, you know, realistically, it is doing the small okay deals to pay the bills until you find the whale that you're going to take down, which is where you make your big payday. You know, and like even like for wholesaling, that is doing the $8,000 to $10,000 assignment fees that cover your marketing, cover your staff, you know, keep the lights on until you get the $60,000 deal. Then you're like, hell yeah, now us as the
now
owners,
you're taking a distribution and you're filling up your coffers, and then maybe the next deal is a bird that you get to keep. And it's just like that's how it works. Not every deal is that way. You got to chip away, and then you get the big whales.
Exactly. And even if you're a realtor, right, you're going and listing all the $200,000 houses, the $300,000 houses where you're making, you know, $4,500 after you're split with your broker. You do that, your signs are all over town until you get the millionaire home that like he's just like, who's this Dan Austin guy? I see his sign all over the place. And he calls you and you're like, cool, now you're getting paid. Now you're getting 30 grand on the house. You know, so it's just so interesting and frustrating. And that's something too as we're going through is, you know, one of the things that people always ask when they like inquire about our stuff, or they just like even hit me up just to have a conversation about our system. They're like, so what is it that you do that's different? Or like, you know, they'll say,
why should
like,
I pick you?
I get this on Instagram too. I was like, yeah. Well, not only that, but they're like, I feel like the stuff you post on Instagram is, you know, you're kind of just doing the same thing as what I see on YouTube. I'm like, yeah. And you know why? Do you know why people post it on YouTube? Because it works. Yeah, it's so crazy.
And then the thing is like, why don't I just watch YouTube? Then yes, absolutely. You should do that, and then come back to us as well. Honestly, you know, because a lot of it is not. You and I know this as well as anybody, but like it's not just about what you can learn from an educational tool. It's about the group and the people you're around. And some people like still, no matter how much they pay for education, they don't understand that that's why other people are being successful. It's because the group that they're surrounding themselves with.
Yeah. For sure, totally. And you know, then from a like creator standpoint too, you know, we've started to do a lot more content creation through like the podcast, and then, you know, through our group, and then I've started to do some stuff on Instagram. You know, now we're doing some like trying to figure out some training stuff in house to help make the team a little bit better. We're going through and we're going through this training, and we're like, how do we create sales training for our guys? You know, and I've had people asking us, do you have any recommendations for sales training? And I was spending a lot of time thinking about this, and then I was like, people love that. I hate it. Let's just go find some YouTube videos that go through all of that. So now we're currently building out our training system for our staff, all from videos that are
right. Well, there's not anybody out there like, pitching some. There's very few like different sales strategies that like catch or are different. Most people are trying to say the same things. It's just how you reposition what you're saying is how people segment themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, but point being with all that, if their stuff seems too good to be true, or if someone tells you that they have like some super secret method how they're printing money, or someone talks to you about their deal where they're making, you know, way too much, like, and you're kind of like, wow, that seems crazy to me. It's absolute trash.
Except for when you get a 50K bump. Like I texted you last night, that is 100% true. Got a little 50K bump this week from a crazy ass deal that I'm super stoked, because it's like when you find $20 in your ski jacket from the last year. You're like, hell yeah, go buy a coffee. Yeah,
it's the wholesale version of that.
Yeah, right. Heck yeah.
Yeah, but I love this deal though. So I'll let you kind of talk about it. But this is something else too, that if you want to be serious in the off-market real estate game, not just about working hard, but also having the willingness to have a very large box and be creative to get things done, which I've also learned most people don't have. Like if it's not like in a book, they don't know how to do it. But when you're doing off-market real estate, if you want to make real money and you want to capitalize on every opportunity, you have to be willing to just like figure stuff out, which is super hard. But again, that's why we can make $50,000 on a deal that we didn't even, like, we had a contract for, we never wholesaled, we never even closed on, we never did anything. And this came,
This was 2021.
like you said, money in our ski pocket. Yeah, so it was 2021. So to make a phantom $50,000. It was great. I was out to dinner last night. I was looking at the bill. I was like, damn, this is like a fucking expensive dinner. I didn't realize that. And I'm like, well,
Right.
this is paid for because this deal just came around.
It was wild though. Like this was when we got this. We've talked about this on the podcast, but we'll dive back into it for new listeners. We bought this when we were in between act managers, and
we didn't buy it.
We
never
worked this lead. Me and you were in between acquisitions managers. We weren't like in a rush to hire a new one. We obviously were looking to hire a new one, but we're like, dude, we could take this down. It's no problem. We can handle the job between the two of us. It's not like we don't know how to do this part, and we've done it before. So this was a lead that it came in on a Sunday through our website. Jumped right on it.
Yep, and we
and
were
I
on
were
a phone call. Dude, I remember because and I got sidetracked. I got the email. I was like, oh, we just got a lead. Like, should we call him like right now?
Let's do it.
Like,
Sunday afternoon. Heck yeah. We were like doing like a strategy meeting and anyways. So super hot. Went out there. It was a weird situation. I won't dive into the whole weird situation, but just a weird situation with two women that lived together and then their ex-girlfriends lived in the basement, which was a completely separate unit downstairs with its own entrance and its own detached garage, but it was like a single family home. So it was a duplex basically, and it was a great property. They wanted to move fast and sell fast, and it needed a little bit of work. It was a newer build home, so it wasn't crazy, in a nice neighborhood. And we ended up getting it contracted for like, I don't remember, was it like $225? And we thought at the time like the ARV was around 400 if we were to put like 30K into it. So it was a sweet deal. We were going to keep it as like a duplex, rent it out.
And the motivation behind it was that she was on the brink of tax foreclosure. She hadn't paid her tax bill in years, and basically at the end of that month, she was going to lose her house. And we had been, pushing towards tax foreclosure.
She owned the house
time,
outright and was going to lose it over like 5 years of
Yep.
missed taxes. And anyhow, and they were going to move to West Virginia was the plan as we thought. And the whole transaction got weird. This is one where the seller called us from the closet saying that she needs our help because her girlfriend was trying to like kidnap her. It just got weird, like phone calls like that. And I was like, what's going on?
So
I was like, okay, no worries. Like, okay, let's step back. Like, and I was trying to help connect him to a realtor in West Virginia, and so like it was just all this sort of stuff going on. It was like one of those deals where we were working our butt off because it was a good deal and they needed our help by the end of the month. Anyhow, it comes down to it where she doesn't want to sell for some reason, and I still remember this. Oh, it was so awkward when you and I drove out there, and I had talked to her several times before this, and then we just got to go out there, and I go to knock on the door. And I thought that the door was open, and so I stepped back. But really what happened was the person opened the door and then stepped away, and the other person, the lady who actually owned the house, didn't know it. And then they were yelling and arguing and crying with each other. And the door just was sitting there open, and they didn't realize we were standing there, I guess. And anyways, we just open the screen door. New and I walk into this freaking uncomfortable argument. And she's like, I don't want to sell my house. And she's crying. And she's like, I don't want to lose it. We're like, literally 2 days from now, we talked to the city. They're foreclosing on your house, all this sort of stuff. But we're like, hey, we're not going to hold you to it. Like if you don't want to sell to us, that's fine. We're like, hey, we just want you to sign this document, which gives us the first right of refusal to purchase this house for the next 5 years if you decide to sell it at this purchase price. Because we were like, in 2 weeks or a week, 2 days, they're going to foreclose on it. They have to come to us and sell it to us.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the strategy, was we wanted to make sure that when the city took it back, which we 100% knew they were going to, that they would come to us and say, hey, do you want this property? Do you guys have to pay back the taxes? We would say, absolutely.
And that was not something we knew about. We just all of a sudden, I think you called our lawyer or a lawyer and
I was like, well, that was the thing, is I was like, how can we secure this? How can we make it so that, when the city goes and takes it, doesn't go to auction, and now it's going to get bid up to like 340, 350, and the entire deal's gone. Yeah, so I called our lawyer and I said, is it possible to place a lien or a first right of refusal on the property publicly, so that when the city goes to claim it, our lien basically pops up, and then they'll call us to get it. And they were like, yeah, we could probably do that. So they actually had a whole strategy for it. I don't know what the
it was a purchase option, is what they called it, and essentially it said that if they go to sell it, They want to sell it. We have the option to buy it. It was basically a first right of refusal, but a little different because the option to purchase was in there at a set price, which was the price we contracted it at. And the best part about that is they forgot to bill us, so the lawyers didn't even bill us until this year. So we got off scot-free because it was like $1,100 to have them draft it. So no cost into it. And then I called them about it, and they were like, "Oh, we forgot to bill you." But anyhow, so we do that. The lady somehow gets her taxes forgiven, which is like not a thing. Because like I asked the city, I asked the city how. I don't know if they just like had a glitch and the taxes disappeared because I literally talked to the lady at the city. She's like, nope, there's no program, there's nothing she can do. She doesn't qualify. There's just nothing. It's like, okay, cool. Anyhow, fast forward till the end of last year, seller dies.
2022.
And her dad,
the seller
who's
died
probably got to be in his
reason.
80s because she was probably in her 50s. Her dad's lawyer reaches out to our lawyer, who says, "Hey, I want to buy this contract from them and cut them out so I can list the house and sell the house." And I think they wanted to offer us it was like 20 grand or
I think they offered. No, I think they offered us 10 grand.
And I was like, no, I'm good. Because the guy was like, we'll wait it out. And then so essentially, I, instead of going through our lawyer, I just called their lawyer and talked to him. And I was like, hey man, here's the deal. I was like, first of all, has he got the squatters out of there yet? Because I knew the 2 ex-girlfriends in the basement were squatting, and I knew the girlfriend upstairs was definitely not going to leave if she didn't have to. And he's like, well, they're working on it. And I was like, and that house is pretty trashed, huh? And he's like, yeah, they know. He knows he needs to do some work. I was like, he's not going to sell it for what he thinks he is. I was like, here's the deal. I was like, I knew the guy wanted money because the seller's mom gave her that house, like gave her $200,000 or whatever it was to buy that house cash. And that is the ex-wife of her dad. So this guy's really wanting to get some money back, right? They got divorced, and he's like, this is a way for me to get some free money from my ex-wife, essentially, right? And so anyhow, I knew just like that was the case. We negotiated it basically that they would give us 10% of the sale or 50 grand at closing, and whichever was higher. And so last night I was busy yesterday. I had a voicemail at like, I don't know what time that was, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I text you. I was like, hey, I just got a voicemail from a title company, and the address was different. Like it was a different because it's a corner lot, so I think the address was different.
Yep.
Anyways, they're like, we just want to call and touch base with you about a payment for blah 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 road, and I was like, oh shit, is this what I think it is? You're like, yeah, that's the address. I was like, damn, got a little 50K bump.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, in order to sell it, so what ultimately happened is we had made that agreement. They, figured out the squatter situation, went and listed it on the listed the property. I looked at photos of properties.
What did they sell it for? What was the price?
Than it was. So it was listed for like 90 days, like a long time. And it shows that it's pending out like 405.
Yeah, I knew it would be something.
So yeah, but like if they'd made it nice, that's the thing that sucks too. If they made it nice, that's like a 500.
Right, it's in a very well established neighborhood, right across the street from a brand new kind of higher end new build neighborhood. So it's like a great location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, and it's like kind of a cool house too. Like it has an oversized lot and stuff. So yeah, they sold it for like 400 something. Yeah, we're making 50,000
so stoked
off this thing to release our.
Yeah, I'm not even stoked about 50 grand is obviously nothing. It's a big deal, but like. Yeah. I'm just happy, like, when you get that. We didn't do any additional work for that. It just, we set up the right paperwork, the right documents to ensure that we were protected on the back end if anything ever happened. And it wasn't like we were setting it up for this scenario, but this scenario happened and it worked out.
Well, and the crazy thing is, I'll be honest, after she got the tax stuff forgiven, I honestly forgot that we had that agreement.
I didn't think about it either. I was like, you know what? I was like, damn, we lost that one.
Yeah, it's so crazy because we had it out and like it was recorded. She, got out of taxes. We're like, okay, well, we tried something. And then for the fact that it all come full circle, super tragic lady
Obviously.
died. I don't know all the circumstances behind that. I know she had some health issues, I think, but, it's a way to squeak out
a little extra money,
little
pocket money.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a super like long-term wholesale deal.
That would be another, that might have been a record.
Just,
you said, what is our record? Did you say it was 700 days? Yeah, I don't think this one, I don't know that this one would be 700. Like this one is close to 2 years though, probably.
Yeah. This won't quite be. I think that was like June of 2021. So be pretty dang close.
Nice.
But anyway, so point being with that whole story is you got to be creative. You got to protect yourself. And, you know, as you're going into these conversations with people, understand, like I think one of the biggest things you can do if you want to be successful in this is get educated on the real estate process, like the transactional process, and kind of know what is potentially possible. Right. And I mean, even like the dudes that preach like creative financing and all those sort of things, they're not wizards who have uncovered some crazy thing. They just have a really good understanding about how real estate law works, about how real estate processes work, about the appropriate documents you need, and about what transactions can look like. And this is another example of, you know, a creative style transaction that, you know, is a little bit more out of our control, and it came around in a way that we never expected. But also too, you know, it's a
well, leverage like when if you get into weird situations, leverage your title company, because that's the lawyer we used is our title company who we'd been established with for a while. They also have a law office. They are a law office, and it's like, okay, let me leverage that connection and just not give up and say no right away. It doesn't mean like in a situation you're in, they might just say, hey, there's nothing you can do. Like we've had people just decide not to sell. They're like, no, I'm not coming in and signing. You ask the lawyer, they're like, what can you do? They're like, well, honestly, nothing. Like you could sue them, but really, are you going to do that? And it's like, no, you're right. And so that sucks. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. But sometimes there is something you can do. It's worth asking and not just giving up right away.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, you need to address the situation of like, what is the situation the person is under, and like, what is the outcome that's going to lead to you being able to exercise that back into it. So like, even with this, we talked with our lawyer, we explained to her, like, our goal with this is that when the city takes this house in 2 weeks, which they will, that we'll be able to claim it. And she's like, that absolutely makes sense. Like, let's do it. If we had said like, yeah, so when this lady's terminally ill, when she's 18 months, when she dies in 18 months, we want to make sure we can take her house. Like, that's super bad. Like, and that was not the situation.
We're not trying to be those
make that
dorks that are like, what are they doing out there? I can't remember some of the name of this company, but they put the 40-year options where you have to give them a commission they'll give you $500 today, but for the next 40 years, if you sell their house, you owe them the commission. Like, what?
Yeah, I know that's super shady. A lot of those companies are getting shut down. If you guys haven't encountered those yet, you're lucky, because they have made some deals really weird, because they target the same people that off-market real estate investors do. You know, people that have recorded bankruptcies, distress, and then like you said, they say like, hey, you have problems. Would you like $1,000? They're like, hell yeah, like cool. Just sign this document. We won't tell you what it is. And then it places this lien where they get a commission off of, you know, a sale of your house, but they're not necessarily requesting to list the house. It's not going to provide you any service. They're literally just going to get paid when you lose the house, sell it to an investor, put it on the market, sell it to your friend, you know, give it to your freaking grandkids, whatever.
Basically, it's recorded against the property. So if you go pull title report, you'll see it right there. It's an option.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, don't be like those people, because those people are going to go to jail and they're dirtbags. But anyway, cool. You should make sure you go post that in our Wins channel for our Instant Investor program too. Yeah, that's a good one. We're really bad about posting wins on there, I think, because wins become an expectation rather than like a win when you're operating a business. But we definitely need to be better about that. But we have some dudes doing some savage deals right now, like that deal that Dylan just got. One of our buddies, Dylan out in Cincinnati. It's buying these. You know, we're wind down here really quick, but I want to give a shout out. This might be like the best deal that I have seen someone put together, like in our circle. Like, this beats our friends that, you know, got a $360,000 wholesale fee. You know, this beats some of the people that we know that have bought like self-storage units that are like have fat cap rates. He negotiated. So Dylan, if you listen to this, I want to give you a big shout out, man. I read this deal 3 or 4 times to fully understand it. It's so sick. So basically, he's buying these 3 duplexes. He's in Cincinnati, $300,000, buying them on seller finance, $30,000 down. First off, the fact you can buy 3 duplexes for $300,000,
I know that's fair.
Outrageous. No, it's not fair at all. With a fixed payment of $2,250 a month, principal only. So that's 0% interest for 10 years. Okay, so that means that every payment, $2,250, is going to his debt to be paid down. And he figures market rent for these properties is $5,400.
Almost a 2% deal.
So, yeah. So like just a very basic breakdown. Well, it's a 2% deal, but the debt pay down is insane.
The ROI on this is amazing.
Yeah. So he's putting 30 grand into it, and not only is he going to be cash flowing, let's say set aside, let's say $1,500 a month, right? Like net, but he is going to be paying down over $2,000 in debt every.
Yeah, that's straight money in your pocket. You have
for
to remember
10
that.
years.
I mean, I don't know what the quick math on that is, but it's like probably almost up closer to like 30 grand a year in pure principal pay down. So if those were only worth 300,000, which obviously they're worth more, he got those at a sweet discount.
Yep.
If that was the case, so he's gonna after this, like say 10 years, I guess that would be, the whole thing's paid off, which normally it would take, if you think about it, with traditional financing, 30 years. So he's having this thing paid down, which means he's also going to have a pile of equity, which he'll probably not want to necessarily pay down, but he'll be able to leverage at some point pretty quickly. So.
Yeah, sick deal. So yeah, like probably like the best
really
off
good
market
deal.
real estate.
And they're all right
if you
next
look
door
at
to
the
each other, 3
actual,
duplexes.
like, easy to manage, huge net profit. So
Good for you, buddy.
Shout out to Dylan there. That's the kind of stuff that's going on over there in our group. So awesome, guys. Well, anyways, that was a quick 40 minutes today. I don't even remember what we talked about. We talked about all sorts of random stuff. But anyways,
Watch
guys,
out.
hope you enjoyed that show. What's that? What are you watching out for?
No, nothing. Never mind.
Oh shit! You're starting to lag. You're starting to get a technical issue.
Oh.
We're gonna exit this
Wrap it up.
before things
Wrap it
get
up.
weird. All right, though. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed that show, please go and share it with anybody that might be interested in real estate investing, business, making money, anything in between. The easiest way for us to grow this show is for you to share it with your friends. So please just tell everybody, even if they're not interested. Like, just tell them anyway. You don't know. They might have like an uncle or something that's like, oh yeah, my friend told me about this show. You should go listen to it. And that's it's a network effect. But share with everybody. And if you want to start finding your own off-market deals, go to collectingkeyspodcast.com/free. You can get our free 5-step guide to start generating off-market leads. And that can get you going pretty quickly on to becoming a full-time real estate investor. So besides that, guys, leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe, all the other stuff you're supposed to say, and talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out at collectingkeyspodcast.com for tips and guides on starting your own real estate investment and wholesaling business.